We're live. Let's put some music. Okay, welcome everyone to a new episode of the Women's Empowerment Series. I am so delighted and grateful to have a beautiful guest with me, Zehra Jaffrey Mahid. So nice to have you. Welcome. Just your name has made me drawn to you because Zahra is the name of my little one, my 6 year old. Her name is Zahra. And I think you are a real Zahra, which means flower in Arabic, as you know. And I am so happy and so honored to have you. Welcome, Zahra.
Thank you. This is just magical for me. This is just magical for me to finally meet you because we've tried a few times, and
We did.
this is like really big for both of us.
But you're a mom of four. I am a mom of four. So how do you stay so beautiful, so put together always, and being the best mom and the best professional? How do you do that, Zahra?
um, so I actually I don't know. I aspire for all of that, and I love that you think that's all there. To tell you the truth, so I actually start with I get up at 4:20 a.m. every morning.
I know, I heard that, and I was like, how can you?
I am the first person at the gym. There is no one there except me and a couple of 75 and up people. Um,
Wow.
and I swim, and then I start. That's how I start my day. That's why I'm a
Really?
kind person to my kids. That's why I'm able to do my like. I start with that. I do my swimming. And then I come back and get everybody ready. And now we're at a new stage where it's a little different because summer break has started.
Is it already? Did it start already?
Started, and
So
yeah,
the girls are at school. So you have four girls, okay? I have a boy and three girls. But just with the girls, to me, it's like Disney Channel in the house. Is it the same for you?
absolutely.
Okay, I love that. And
Absolutely.
it and you switch, right? You switch from the teenagers to the little one less to the little one. I love that.
Yes. Yes, I have all ages and all stages in my house right now.
That's
All ages and
fun.
all stages.
And I think this is the most delightful thing. And sometimes we get overwhelmed as mother, makes sense because too much to be done. But at the end, it's really a blissful days and being way of being, isn't it?
I would say that the magic starts once the last one is fully potty trained and a little bit self-sufficient.
Yeah,
Like
I like that one. That's true.
oh, I had so many people tell me that like you're gonna miss the baby days and you're gonna miss the toddler days. And I don't. And I think I made the most of it and I was
Uh-huh.
so present and so immersed. But
Uh-huh.
once they became self-sufficient, I'm gonna say age 4 or 5,
Yeah, yeah.
I love looking at the movies. I love watching, I love watching the movies and I love the pictures, but I think this is actually the 5 and on, in my opinion, is really just the best because they're mobile, they have opinions,
They
they can
can eat on their own. That's right.
they
Yeah.
can
But it's funny you said that about missing the baby phase because I felt that. Okay, my boy was fine, but my second one, when I looked at her and she was like 1.5 and trying to walk, and she was just so cute with her pajamas, I'm like, I love that face. I want another one like this face. It's like that phase was like, oh, we will miss it. But after the fourth one, I was like, I'm ready to have them all
yeah.
autonomous.
Yeah,
Yeah.
by the 4th one, I was like, I'm gonna enjoy all of it. But when I look back now, I guess what I would say is that I would not go back to that time. I
Okay.
I'm grateful I had it, and I feel like I made the most of it, but by the 4th one, I was like once the 4th one was fully potty trained and all of that, I thought to myself, "I wouldn't go back to that." Like, I'm glad I lived it, but I wouldn't
Yes.
go back and do that again. Like, I
Yes.
don't think I
Wow.
would. I think by the 4th one and I think that's how you know when you're done.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. I guess so. Yes. Yeah.
Because if you're still longing for it, if you're still aching for all of that, you should have another one if you can,
Oh my God. Yeah. I
right?
mean, it's fun, but it's a lot of responsibility and a lot of money to be able to have the choices for the children. Yeah.
Right.
And it's okay, right? Because I think today we understand that women are capable of creating the wealth they want, of creating the life they want. And when you have children, it's almost that's double motivation, go on,
Yeah,
be the successful story you can be.
it is. And I think that for women who do have their own businesses and children, the world really needs role models of that and examples of that. We need as many examples of that as possible because, we have Oprah, we
Yeah,
have women who
we do.
didn't have kids.
Mhm.
We have women that have been phenomenally successful that had maybe one. And I think that the world needs leadership in the form of mothers who actually did it, and achieved phenomenal amounts of success. I think there's a shortage of that.
Yeah, it's interesting you saying that because like when COVID hit, and I was after having some challenges in my own professional life, I wrote a book to broke for women, and actually book for young girls and young women, to tell them that you don't need to just choose between the two, you can do them both. And a lot of women came up, which we don't know. Susan Wojcicki was the CEO of YouTube. She has 5 kids, and she managed to have this life with this many children and yet to be CEO. So there are very few, but there are. But we want more of them too, because what we want to showcase that children will never stop women from achieving the success they want. Never.
Exactly. I
It's
think
not
when
the children that stop her.
Right. I think a lot of women ask themselves the wrong question,
Mhm.
that once I have kids, should I work or should I not work? And I
Mhm.
think that is fundamentally the wrong question.
Yeah.
It's not a if, it's a how. It's
Okay.
how. How can I forge a path? How? So that
Yes.
I'm able to do all of the things. How? What has to change in my life? What do I have to contribute to society to create options so that women aren't just thinking, do I work or do I not work?
Yeah.
Because that's the wrong question.
Question. I love that. Yeah, and not only that is that the children are usually so proud of their mom when she works, when she high achievements. They are so proud, and you show them what it means to go after your dream and actually do it, so that they start having their own dreams.
Exactly.
Yeah, and you
Exactly.
see that in your girls, isn't it? They will dream of.
My girls dream big, and they know that, like, the sky is not the limit. It's, your only limit is your own mind and your own
Yes.
principles and your own work ethic and your own effort. That's, but there's nothing that's not possible.
Yeah,
All possible.
and that's because their mom is you, because you show them that. And
I
I think,
certainly try every single day. I certainly try.
you really,
I do. I do. I really model for my kids. I think part of it is, like, I come from a culture, South Asian, especially in America, where, it's like you either have to be a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, or an MBA, and those are your 4 choices in life. And
hmm
I think all of those are phenomenal, amazing professions, but I think that there's so much more.
hmm
There's
hmm
that, and then there's a lot more. So I try to sort of model for my kids that there's,
possibilities.
the point is there's so many possibilities, and
Yeah,
especially if you're female, you've got to really pursue the possibilities, whatever it is for you. You've got to do it. We're not here just to be taken care of
mm.
by
But you started as a lawyer, isn't it, Zahra? Corporate
I
lawyer.
did. I did. I started, yes, I graduated law school in 2002, and I
Wow.
have been a lawyer
Mhm.
really ever since. And then I have always been in, almost always, I did a little bit of litigation, but like 20 plus years has been corporate and business law, but simultaneously mentoring and advising students
And
on,
which one you like best?
well, what do you mean by which one of what?
Like the being the lawyer and that does these transactions, or today your mentorship role?
Oh,
What's
my mentorship role. My
really
mentor, and I did it the whole time I was a lawyer, but I never thought of myself as a mentor or an admissions coach. I always thought of myself as a lawyer until
okay?
like until COVID. And then when COVID hit and the world shut down, and I was sitting at my dining table 8 hours a day teaching my kids. And I don't know if your kids had virtual school. We had
We
virtual
did. We
school,
did.
but you had to be there. I mean,
Me too.
you
And I
still
had to
sit
sit
with
here. Ah, that's
yeah,
yeah.
you still like because and I felt for the teachers too. I was like to be trying to manage kids, especially the young kids on
Yeah.
Zoom.
Yeah.
I mean, how, right?
Yeah.
So during COVID, my kids were doing virtual school, but I had to sit at the dining table with them. And at that point, I told my sister that her kids could come to my dining table as well because she
Nice. So you had a whole big house.
had a daughter. I had like a whole academy going. On top of it, I had high school students that I was mentoring who were like, "Oh my God, what am I going to do? Because I'm applying to college and I have no extracurricular activities. I have nothing to write." I mean, like it was such a
It's
stressful,
COVID.
shocking experience for the
Yeah.
students that were in high school or college that were having to do it from home. So
Wow.
I think that was when I was forced to give up my commercial lease in downtown. I had an office in downtown. In the
Uh-huh.
cool part of down, I had a work, I was working in downtown and I had to sort of stop everything because of the kids and the situation. And that was when one of, you know, one of the mothers of a student that I mentored who got into Yale was like, "Why are you still doing this? Why are you still practicing law? Like, this is what you love. This is what you thrive at. You're affecting so many people. Why are you even still doing law?" And I think that was when I realized I'm super glad that I am a lawyer. I have loved
Of
being
course.
a lawyer, but I think this is my calling. And so that was when I formally was like, okay, I'm just going to shift into this space. And I didn't have a name for this space. I was like, well, I guess it's like college admissions, but what I do is more than that. So, but I was like, I'm going to make the shift and I'll call it whatever.
When it comes.
I'll
Yeah.
call it whatever comes to me. And so
Yeah.
that's when I made the full shift. So like in 2020 was when I started. And then this 2022 was when I didn't even renew my law license. It's like a
Oh,
full
I see.
license.
And you focus completely in the being a mentor for admission and for college. And that's every parent would love you by their side, right? Every parent.
I think what's been interesting for me is that I I really love what I do, but I've realized now that I do it exclusively that I thrive the most in the situations where the student is the one who is
Want.
to do big things.
Wow.
I think that when it's just the parent,
Mm,
student, there's no magic.
that's
For me, it has to be the student is like, wow, I really like her. I feel I can see myself trusting her. I want to really be the best of me. And so those are the students that we just go on to set the world on fire. I think the
I'm
one where the
ready.
mom is like, please fix my kid doesn't
Yeah.
work. Because I think I don't really have experience working with kids. I don't, in 2 decades, I don't have a lot of experience working with kids who weren't like good students and
Yeah.
sort of not, they don't have to know what they want to do with their life. They have to know I want to do things with my life.
Yes.
That's what
Yeah.
it is, right? You don't have to know.
So you want them to come already motivated by their own self.
Yeah. Like I
Not
think
coming. Yeah.
motivation
Mm.
is, I think the kids who are intrinsically motivated are the ones who thrive with me for sure. The ones who are
No, they're the one who thrives anywhere, in fact, if you
right.
don't have motivation. And this is very important point because a lot of time parents think that they can give that to someone else while it could be their job to motivate their child. But it's not at 16 years old. It starts when he's one.
Starts when they're one. Yeah, I don't think I can plant the seed of motivation in a student. I think that if a student has motivation, then we're going to do amazing things. So I
Mm,
say that like the motivation has to be there, and when it's there, that's, those students are unstoppable. If they can really get in touch with that and use their powers for good, those students are just unstoppable. And
that's true.
I think about why I do what I do, and helping students get into good universities, good programs, good higher education programs is part of it. But I really want to produce leaders, like future CEOs, future
Wow. I
figures,
like that, Zahra.
like my goal. Like by the time I die, I want to have produced at least 100 CEOs, at least, politicians,
You
public
will.
figures, people who go out there and just change the world for the
I
better.
love it.
I
Oh,
really
this is
like
incredible.
that's what I want to do. So those are, like, I really look for the stars, because I feel like the next generation doesn't have to accept the world they're being handed. You can
Mm,
say, I don't like the way political discourse is going. I don't like the way AI is going. I don't like the way education is going. I don't like the way things are going. I want to change those things, right? Like I really want, like I don't know if I believe in my own generation. I don't know that I believe in our generation, but I
well, yeah, they have a role to play still because you are preparing the next one. And it takes
yeah,
this to prepare the
I
next
think all of my faith is in our kids' like, I really just think they're unstoppable. And what they need to know is
one.
that you don't have to accept things the way they are. You actually don't. But you have to you have to put yourself in a position where you can be one of the impactful voices that will change it.
Mm,
Change it.
yes.
So like the students I work with right now, some of the ones who are like STEM, they want to do STEM, and these students will tell me, they're like, oh, I'm really interested in artificial intelligence, and I'm really
Okay.
interested in robotics, and I'm really interested in gaming. And what I tell them is, like, I feel like we are in a time period that's not that different from the Manhattan Project, that you had this idea about nuclear weapons, and there was this idea that those nuclear weapons are going to do something, and then you had thousands of people working on them who didn't even know what they were working on. And okay, Truman made the decision, drop it on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Whether that was the right decision or wrong decision isn't the point. The point is, we have to have the discussion. You have to have that moral discussion, right? Because the people who worked on it didn't even know what they were working on, and they were shocked when they found out, right? So like
Right.
this generation, I feel like it's not just that you wanted it's not just that you want to be part of it. You have to be willing to step back and ask the questions. What's the
What is
right
it?
way to do it?
Mm,
What are the moral questions? What are the ethical questions? What are the implications? Something is happening that's going to impact all of humanity. Now, what does
yes.
that mean, right? So I think that's where I'm like, I always tell the students I mentor, I'm like, you've got to have the mind to ask the questions, right?
Yeah.
Because you don't want things to just happen.
No. You want to, yeah, you want to be able to understand where you're going and how you're going and how are you contributing and why. Think the why. And the why, we often don't ask that question because we take for granted everything that is said and it's just like, that's it.
And the next generation can't do that. They can't
Mm-mm.
ask the
Or
question.
we take the truth, like real, unshakable truth. Well, which you could, right? The question, is it good? Is it good for humanity? Yeah, it's true. There's a big tendency now for teenagers to just be interested in going to that field and fascinated by this field. This is incredible, you know. And it's so far from us because in our time we had no idea about anything. The phone was with a line. There is nothing that will have sparks or colors. It's just so
Right. And
amazing.
your voice only went to the person who picked up the phone on the other end.
If
Whereas
they did, if they picked up,
if
yeah,
they picked up, whereas for these kids, if your oldest posts something on TikTok, or Instagram or whatever, it's like, there's going to be at least 1,000 people in the world that agree with that point of view. So
yes,
your oldest, your kids, our kids have a voice. They already
yes,
have a microphone. They already have a stage. The audience will come. So then it's a question of what are you doing with that voice, right? Because they automatically have the ability to make an impact in a larger way than we did.
absolutely.
And so
Absolutely.
it's like I look at these kids and I'm like, just even the two sides of social media, that on the one hand, it creates anxiety, it creates comparison, it creates mental health issues. On
Competition.
the other hand, it's here.
Yeah.
It's
And
here.
it's here to be used,
And
but
it's
you use it to your advantage. Yeah.
so how do we make sure they use their powers for good?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's those questions starts early on, and when they are capable of starting to contemplate around this, then they be more in charge of their future and not just navigating through it. Yeah.
And feel a
Wait.
sense of responsibility for the future. Like
Yeah.
they feel a sense of responsibility that what I do is going to affect people, possibly large numbers of people,
Mm.
possibly communities, possibly societies, possibly the
Yeah.
world.
It
So how
will.
can I be conscious in
Yeah.
what I'm doing and the decisions I'm making and the way I lead myself? And I actually feel like, certainly in America, with the breakdown of political discourse, with the breakdown of so many things, there's a responsibility that they're having to assume at an earlier age and stage, and it's so important. And I think
Mhm.
they can. I think they can. I think
Wow, what a beautiful mission you're on. I love that. I really love it so much because the change start with the next generation and we to have them ready for it. Yeah. Because the challenges are way bigger than what we've seen in our generation. Way bigger. Yeah.
way bigger,
Yeah.
way bigger.
Because technology, the speed of technology and science, we don't know how, like, if you look at all the duality of things, where it's going to take us, which side. Yeah.
We don't.
Mm.
We don't know.
Wow. This is incredible. So your kids are so lucky to have a mom like that at home,
I
mentoring.
I hope I it's so important to me, like my kids, all kids, like these kids have to have, there is a responsibility on them. They didn't create the situation that they're in, the society that they're in, the world that they're in, but they're the ones who have to live it, and they're the ones who have to lead everybody out at some point, right? And so creating future leaders and strong thinkers, that is my life purpose. That is my life purpose, is to find those ones and really help mentor them so that they can ask themselves the right questions. They understand how capable they are. They know what potential they have, and they can go forth and do huge things. That's that's what I live for in my
Wow.
others. And I think the right kids with me are just really like my part. I think if I can play a part in that and contribute to that, then that's amazing.
That is incredible. I just loved your beautiful, beautiful mission and genuine because it's really impacting humanity by preparing the next generation. And what I love more about what you do is through education. And I
Absolutely.
am such a strong believer that everything comes down to education. And I think we see so many people claiming and shouting out loud that you don't need to study. I did this much money without studying. I have not. And it sends the wrong signals to the children, to the teenagers. And I think we need your voice because it really comes down to having a strong education. Then you can do whatever you want because you will always have something.
I think that and people sometimes misinterpret what we mean by education. Like if you live in a first world country, then you're thinking just classrooms, right? I was born and raised in America, but like I went to Pakistan for high school. My dad moved there and we went to an American school in Islamabad. And I remember going to a village with one of the teachers. She was actually a white American teacher who used to
Okay.
go to villages to teach women how to read. And she holds up this sign, like she holds up a sign, and it's a giant fly. And the fly had hair on its legs. And she's like, see the hair on this picture? That hair is the reason, like, you have to cover your food because a fly will sit on sewage and then come sit on your food and your food will get contaminated. And I was like, wow, that's so basic. So we leave and we go back 2 weeks later, and the women were like, thank you for telling us that, but we don't have to worry because the flies in our village are not this big.
Wow.
Like
Okay.
they couldn't even grasp the concept of scale. So it's like when we talk about education, I think
Wow.
people might not even realize what it really is. What
Yes.
even is, like when you say education, you're not talking about a dissertation and a PhD.
No.
We're
No,
actually
not
talking
sex.
about something far more basic than that.
Basics. Oh,
More
yes.
basic than that. And
Yes.
when you've been to places that have no education, you
Mm.
really realize that it's not, we're not talking about people need to get a degree. It's not the degree. It's what it does for your mind.
It's the logic.
It's
Yes.
the logic,
It
the
trains
critical
your mind to think
thinking.
logically.
Yes, and
Absolutely.
like really challenging yourself to think beyond what
Exactly.
you
And
have
yeah,
even been taught in your educated home, even in your highly educated home, the way to think. No, it's how to think, not
is
what,
how to think.
it's
And
how.
and that's why I'm a big big fan, and I always, you see me, I write about it a lot, that I think every girl needs to go do science. It's not even, I think it's a must. It's like you learn how to talk, you learn science, because it gives you that logic that you can use later on in anything you want to do. But these basics, it's in understanding science. Science is the way you organize your conscious mind, and once you organize your conscious mind, you can reorganize your subconscious mind, but it comes to science.
So is that what your passion always was? Science?
Yes.
You're
Yeah, and I speak, and my voice is about, let's get more girls to science, because that's how we change the world. Because we want women to be independent, we want women to be financially free, we want women to be tech savvy. How do you want to get tech savvy if you have no clue about science? If you think science is not fashionable, if you think science is like, I don't need it, I just need makeup and everything.
yeah,
No, come
yeah.
back to that.
Yeah.
And
So what was it? So for you, I love your story. We have to talk about your story. We have to.
yeah,
You were always a good student, and
I was
your
always a
passion
good
was
student.
science,
Yeah.
right? That was
I
always
had
your.
passion for science, for math. I had such a passion. I just loved every part of it. Yeah. Math, physics. And I was so good at it.
So you did. So did you do? Obviously, you did your primary education in Morocco,
Yes, I did.
and then you did. Okay, so you did what we would
My
call.
high school also, I did it in Morocco.
Okay, and then.
And then it's like Morocco, we are very follow a lot of the French system. So it's very much, as you said earlier, one of the most difficult careers, engineering, as doctor is like, so, but engineering was my thing. And my dad was an engineer. So I really wanted to be like him, because I didn't want to be women staying at home, or I just wanted to be that woman that actually contribute, get.
Right.
And so the way I saw it, my role model was my dad at home, who was an engineer. So I'm like, that's what I need to be, so that I can be taken seriously and actually contributing. And so engineering means being really so good in science. And it came naturally to me, because I think maybe because I was preconditioned for it, or I was like ready for it. And so, and also because I knew that if I was so good, my parents will let me be the engineer that is more like boys, because girls was not at my time, when I grew up early in the 70s and the 80s, like we just get married. So the only discussion was how to gonna be so good at being in charge of your house and being the best wife and just be nice and be sweet. And but I was like, I don't think so. And I'm like, I had to be so good, top of my class, so that they can't say no. And that was my drive.
So was it so after high school, in the French system, did you do college in Morocco as
I
well?
did no, I started okay, so to get into engineering, we have like competitions. So it's really tough competition. So it's intensive 2 years of math and physics.
Okay.
So I did that, and I was accepted in the best engineering school in France. And very few were taken from Morocco, because their competition, we took them. So it's like a whole process. And then so I went and so I got accepted. My parents were like, no, because girls don't go abroad, they just stay here, stay at home. We cannot let a girl go live on her own outside the country. It's just impossible. What would people say? And I'm like, and I couldn't say anything to my parents, because we are educated. Like, you grow up, don't just be nice and kind, and whatever they tell you, you accept. And I was like hoping something would just happen to help me. And that's how the dean and the professors came to my house to convince my parents to go let me go to the
From the
end.
school in France.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so then what happened?
Then I went to France and I studied engineering.
Where in France were you?
École Centrale in
Okay.
Paris. It's Central Paris. It's like Central Paris, which is one of the best schools in engineering. So I did industrial engineering, but then I was like, I'm going to somewhere else, and my dream was to go to Harvard. And so I'm like, I'm going to Harvard. That's it.
Did you
And I
apply
didn't
for
tell them. I applied.
Okay, and your parents knew you were applying, or you were gonna like like beg for forgiveness later rather than ask for permission? I
It's
always beg
like,
for
I
forgiveness
think
and ask for permission.
it's interesting you asked this question because my mom was reminding me last time. It's like, remember when I told you now that you're in Paris, you can go to the US? That's what she said. I can't remember this very well, but I was like, I'm going to do everything. I don't think they realize how long process it is to do the applications and to do the GREs and all these exams. And so I just prepared them. And I knew I'd be going. It's not like I knew I was going somewhere else.
So this is while you were in school in
Yeah.
Paris, you were
Where
doing
was
all
it? Yeah.
this
Yeah.
work. Okay.
So I
Okay.
applied. So I started with a master in decision theory because I was doing a lot of operation research. So it's really advanced math and modeling applied to engineering and to real life issues. So it's really advanced modeling. So I did decision theory. How do we make decision based on operational research on using data and information? And then I did my PhD, continued on my PhD, where I
So you got
worked.
accepted. I mean, you got accepted,
I got
and
accepted.
then your
It
family.
was like I remember it vividly.
So you
Like
got the letter, and you
I
told
got
your.
the letter. I was like, "Oh wow!" And I told them, and they're
And
like,
what was
"Go."
the response when you told them?
They
Did you?
told me, they're like, "Go." They were with me,
Okay.
and but the thing is that from our culture, when you go, I felt that guilt with me, so I had to. I was like, I am going to help everyone because I did it. They have to always be happy. So I felt like I needed to always do something to please everyone, to give back. And I carried that responsibility with me for a long time, very long time. And
So
it's okay, but it's heavy.
what was it like? So you got to Cambridge
I
and
went to
by
Cambridge,
yourself,
went to Harvard.
by
I went
your.
to see my professor. Okay, let me finish up with a funny story. So I went to see my professor, Peter Rogers, who accepted me. And I was like, so excited, I'm going to go. And I went and I looked at his door and he looked at me. He's like, you're actually a girl. He thought he accepted a boy.
Oh my God. And a beautiful girl at that. A beautiful,
Yeah.
intelligent
He's like,
boy.
so I wonder if he knew I was a girl, things would have been different. See, isn't that interesting? It's like, you're a girl. I think he didn't see the check on female or male.
So what was it like there? What was it like there? So you got there. Did you live alone? Did you have a
I
roommate?
was in the dorm the
Okay,
first year, and then I got an apartment just at Harvard. It was incredible. It was like a movie. I thought I was in a movie every day. I didn't speak a lot of English, so it's hard. So I had to take all math, but I'm good at math, so I was very good at math. So I took the first semester was all math and numbers. So I'm like, okay, I'm good at that stuff. Doesn't need a language. And then I was better. And it was just amazing. I loved every part of it. I think that's the moment where I can, now that I help women power up and create wealth and all that stuff. I go back and I remember how every day I was filled with gratitude. Every day I can vividly see myself walking in the Harvard yard, and I'm like, thank you, God, for this most beautiful opportunity you gave me, because I knew if I opened that door, I'll open it to my sisters, I'll open it to every girl, you see. And that's, like that feeling that filled my heart every day, Zahra, every day for 4 years. I was able to meet with head of states. Benazir Bhutto came. I sat with her. All, like you imagine what Harvard attracts in terms of personalities and discussions and high level conversations and debates, and just I was in the middle of each one. And I have given my real heart, because all the work I did was how, you use modeling so that you can integrate the most sophisticated engineering scheme into national planning, to create jobs, to grow, to stimulate growth. Because what I wanted is to help our countries and, the emerging countries
Mhm.
develop.
Mhm.
And it's the gratitude of being. And
Did you?
that gratitude is a high level frequency.
Mhm.
And that high level frequency can attract anything in your life. And today, that's what I teach.
So when
That's my
so
story.
when you were when you were there, did you ever feel what would you say to someone who, and especially like and I know you went on a graduate level, so that is a little bit different. But
Thank
what
you, Hind. I'm
would
seeing some comments, beautiful comments. People
what would
cracking
you
up.
say to a student, even like especially if they were like 18 or 19, if you were going into an environment like that where everybody is really, really, really smart, right? Because most people that go there are the smartest person in their school, the smartest person in their
Yeah.
family. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What would you say about the mental resilience?
The mental resilience has to be so strong, but also it's almost like what helps you is your excellence in the studies. My mental resilience was almost like standing on top of excellence in everything I had to know. So I will take, if it takes me a whole night to study something, I'll just stay the whole night. And I wake up and I don't even sleep and I'll smile in the morning filled of gratitude again. So you put the hours and the work. When you do that, you know that you are unshakable in whatever you knowledge is. And
Mhm.
universities like this give you everything. I remember I was teaching assistant, so there are teaching assistant. There is everything that is out there to help you. And so to me, what had always helped me is to be top of everything I needed to know, of my knowledge. It's like just do the work. You do the damn work. You don't go and want to cruise by pretending. It's not. You go and do the work, and you fill your heart with all the gratitude for being able to grasp what you need to grasp and to get the help from whoever you need the help from. And focus, why are you doing that? Why? My why was so big. My why was like, I'm representing every young girl that their parents didn't let her go anywhere. Imagine, Zahra. Can you find a bigger one than this? You
It's
can't.
similar. Yeah.
You
When I left
can never
high
find
school,
a bigger why. So my why was too big to dismiss. You see. So when the why is big, the resilience get you feed your resilience every day, because science is easy. Everybody has, you train your mind to be smart. You train your brain to be good. You train it. It's a muscle. You build it. And I always say that to everyone. And if you're not sure, reprogram yourself. Be the cheerleader of yourself. Change the way you look at yourself. Look at yourself like I'm smart. I can do it. If you start by looking at this too hard, I cannot make it. And of course you won't make it anywhere. And that's where, mentors are so important. That's why the conditioning, the surrounding, you get yourself with people that would raise you up. If they put you down, stay far away. Go look for who's gonna bring you up. Mm.
absolutely. So, what were the traits? What are there common traits that you feel like you saw in the leaders that you met, like Benazir Bhutto? She actually spoke
Yeah,
at my graduation, and
she
so
was really.
spoke at my high school graduation. Yeah, I went to the American school in Islamabad, and she actually spoke at the graduation, and I remember
Nice.
just really admiring her. And it's hard. Well, I mean, she's not with us anymore. It's kind of hard to believe. But like, what do you think? Do you think there are common things that you saw in
Yes.
the people that you encountered who had gone on to become
Yeah.
visible? What are the what did you see? What are
I
the
think when they are the highest level, they're just the kindest people. I mean, like really, like genuinely the kindness, feel of love and empathy. And and you see me, I write a lot about leadership, feel of empathy and love, because that's what strike me. Before all, like when I was young and all the leaders I met and I admired and, I had as mentors are people that are just so loving, so humane, and so proud of where they come from. And that I'd never forget it. So it's like, and this is the message, is for everyone to be proud of what you come from. It doesn't matter what you go through. Be so proud of your uniqueness, because that very thing is what you will use to lead yourself to the highest positions, and fill yourself with love. When you feel anger and rage and hatred, you never go anywhere. You need to be able to forgive, to lighten up, to fill your heart with real love. And this is what I felt in everyone I met: genuine love, and genuine interest, and genuine empathy. And that's what the leaders that we need today. Hmm.
So you
Yeah.
met Benazir Bhutto. Who else?
I met several ones. I mean, we ran out of time, but we will definitely do a part two to talk about all those incredible, the role of role models in our life, and, and the mentors we meet.
I would love to have that conversation with you. The role of role model. That's an amazing one. You have to write that down. The role of role models in our life. I think that's a
It
really good.
is. It is extremely important. Absolutely. Well, this is beautiful. Thank you so much, Zahra, and congratulations for the incredible work that you do. I think I mean, me as a mother, and I know that the importance of preparing the next generation, because they will be the future, and they'll carry the future the way we want them to. And when I know is someone like you doing that, I know we're in very good hand.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. Bye, everyone. Bye, everybody.